the Investor Connect podcast program. This is Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of the show, in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, private equity, family offices, and many other investor groups for startups and growth companies. I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you for joining us. Well, hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today I'm here with Tracy Deforge of the Players Impact. Tracy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Hall. I'm happy to be here.
So what was your background before investing in early stage companies? What did you do before this?
Before the Players Impact, by way of short history, I'm myself a lawyer by training. I've worked in the sports industry my entire career, two of the four major leagues, and then started a venture capital firm back in 2007, the very first of its kind, investing in the intersection of sports, media, and technology. Unfortunately, timing in the markets didn't handle that first-time fund in an unproven vertical at the time. So we never did get to committed capital, but been investing, building, buying, selling companies for my entire career.
Well, that's great. So what excites you right now?
For me, especially with what we do here at the Players Impact, what's exciting me is just the activation that the athletes are seeing inside of the early stage ecosystem, getting them more involved in more than just a simple brand ambassadorship, but really learning how to capitalize companies and take them to market.
Oh, great. So what's your advice for people investing in startups? What do you tell them to do before they write that first check?
Really to do their due diligence, not to just trust somebody and write a check. Really look at the team, make sure they're the right team, solving the right problem, making sure that they're asking the right questions. We're not advisors, but that's generally what we hope folks will do before they make these investments is proper diligence.
Oh, great. And so for startups who are beginning their entrepreneurial journey, what's your advice for them?
I guess my advice for those startups just beginning is to network, have the conversations, keep people updated on what you're doing, stay top of mind. Don't just bury your head and start building something that you're not sure other people want. Making sure that you're in touch with the market that you're building for and that you're staying connected to the future investors by way of updating them on your progress.
Well, great. So we see the industry for startups changing quite a bit, and investing in startups continues to evolve and grow. How do you see the industry evolving, and what changes do you see going on out there?
I think under the more confusing category, what's happening, there's a trend towards the stages of funding being altered a little bit. And so we're not all following the same nomenclature when it comes to pre-seed, seed, Series A. There's less of a distinction and clarity around that. So I see that as a trend out there where folks are their seed plus rounds, et cetera, instead of bridges. And so I think that there's a lot of noise and commotion out there as far as who's exactly investing at what stage and what does that mean?
The lines are blurring. It's hard to keep track of what is seed, what's C plus, what's Series A, and everybody has their own version of it. So it can be hard to align everybody at the same time on the same metrics for sure. Yeah. But let's talk about your fund. What's your investment thesis for it?
Yeah, so for clarity, we're not a fund. We are a group of athletes, professional athletes, active, retired, and Olympic level, making investments in early stage companies. So what we do is vet and curate the opportunities and bring them to the athletes. But they're actually the ones making the decisions on whether or not they participate. So we actually don't have an investment thesis. We are vertical and stage agnostic. We try to offer very diverse opportunities for our athletes. And that, I think, is again, for this early risky asset class, the best approach is to diversify the portfolio. We're clearly more strategic to sports tech companies in a lot of ways, just given our backgrounds. But we like to see companies from all verticals.
Are there one or two portfolios you can call out that fit that thesis?
Well, the variety in what we have, I'll give you from DraftKings. We were part of their latest round, their Series F, much later stage than other typical investments that we've done, but all the way to a life sciences company that is doing bone regeneration made out of your own biomatter. So that was a very interesting opportunity for us. And we're excited about that.
Well, great. So, what are the challenges you see startups facing when they launch today? If you had to look at all the challenges that come with a startup, regulations, the market, technical, but if you had to pick the one or two things that is the biggest challenge for them, what would you say that is?
I guess I'll go back to fundraising and knowing where to go and who and when to go to them, I think is difficult. And again, it goes back to those blurry lines that we talked about earlier. But the startups that I'm seeing, that's their number one most important challenge is fundraising. And that's probably pretty obvious, but it's really hard for them to navigate the resources that are available.
Right. Well, you see a lot of sectors and applications out there. Do you see one or two that are good opportunities for investors to pursue? What's heating up, I guess, is another way to ask it.
Yeah, so across all sectors, what we see a lot of and we're excited about is this artificial intelligence and how that overlays in so many sectors and in so many ways, actually. AI is super exciting.
Well, that's great. Well, in the last few minutes that we have here, what else should we cover that we haven't?
Well, I think we've covered it all. Again, we're excited. First of all, thank you for having us here, but we're excited by a lot of the early stage companies that are coming our way. So we encourage startups that are looking for funding just to know that we generally don't lead rounds. We like to close rounds. So if you have a lead investor and you've got some traction, please feel free to reach out.
That's great. How best for listeners to get back in touch with you?
Via our website, theplayersimpact.com, or my LinkedIn or the Players Impact LinkedIn is probably the best way to get in touch with us.
Great. I'll put those in the show notes. I want to thank you for joining us today and hope to have you back for a follow-up soon.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We'll chat soon.
Thanks.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.